Well, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Stephanie. I'm so glad to be here and also to participate in this important event, the Sustainable Summit, because I believe it is so important to understand how the new role of the project manager in this world, with these sustainability issues that we have in our world, we can work on that. Okay, well, I'm going to start my presentation. A minute, please. Mm, Please, Stephanie, can you let me know if I'm sharing my screen, please?
You are, yep.
Okay, that's good. Okay, we're going to start this presentation. Well, I'm going to talk about the new DNA of the project manager, linked with purpose and sustainability. Um, I want to start with my presentation with Stephanie. Well, the table content that I have about me. A little. I'm going to talk about my experience and that. Also, we'll continue with the introduction, a context of the word, new role of the PM, standard P5, and also the key takeaways that we need to consider. Okay, as Stephanie mentioned, well, I'm a Peruvian industrial engineer, and also I'm part of the PMI as a voluntary social impact lead in PMI Latam. We're working in many activities in social impact with the different chapters of the region because we believe it's important that with our role of project manager, we can make something important for the different societies that we have. And recently, well, I started to join to the team of the sustainability champions that are working to promote this new way to work with the green project management that we have in the PMI. And it's so important. I believe that you just left a presentation of Lucille Toto and also George Carboni that are also talking about that. If you are interested in that way, please watch the presentation because it's wonderful the way in which the PMI is changing the world. Well, my focus is also, as Stephanie mentioned, to contribute to society through the education and also the social impact projects that are working in that way in the world. I want to start my presentation with this phrase of Gaston Acuri. Gaston Acuri is a Peruvian chef that we have in our country because, as you know, the Peruvian food is so renowned in the world by the different prices that they have. And he believed that we can use our cuisine as a weapon of change, as a weapon of change our societies, and that was very true for us because, as I'm gonna present you, the history of the Peruvian cuisine has many activities that happen to got the different prices that we have. All this started in the beginning of the 2000 when some Peruvian chefs with Gaston Curio and also some other chefs started to working with private companies and also the government to promote our food in different countries in different regions and also made some renowned. They started an organization called APEGA here in Lima, and that has started many activities to promote our Peruvian cuisine. One of that it was the Mistura. Mistura is a fair, the gastronomic fair that we have here in the country, in which we invite different chefs from other parts of the world to promote our foods and also them made notice about that because we have many ingredients, we have many dishes from different regions because in the coast of in Peru we have the three important regions: the jungle, the highlands, and also the coast. And in all these regions, we have different recipes with different ingredients that we are preparing in that way. Also, the government joined to this initiative with an initiative called Peru Brand. Peru Brand was a way that the biggest prize that they got it was to make recognize Machu Picchu as one of the seven wonders of the world. And the work of these three different stakeholders was very important because they started to get some prizes and also recognitions from different organizations. For example, in 2015, Astrid and Gaston, that is one restaurant in Peru, was recognized as the best restaurant of Latin America in the 2015, and was the first result of this initiative that started these different organizations, the government, the private companies, the chefs, and also I have to mention the society and also the academy, because the academy was so important to train the new chefs that, as I'm gonna mention, were the um, important characters to get the different prices, the different world prices that we have. For example, in the 2023, Central was recognized as best restaurant of the world. That was the first time that a Latin American restaurant won this prize, and it was Peruvian. And the chef of this restaurant, called Virgilio Martinez, was part of this young generation, the new generation that was trained by these academies that joined this initiative of Opega and also Peru Brand, and also the different chefs as Gaston Curio that started to train them to have this kind of prizes. Also in this year, the UNESCO recognized Peruvian food as intangible heritage list. That's so important because recognize that the food is part of all the world, and because we have a lot of story of that. I'm gonna talk about that in the next slide. And finally, in this year, Maido is recognized as the best restaurant of the world. That is the second time that an Latin America restaurant won this prize, and also it was also Peruvian. That was wonderful. That was wonderful because, as you can see, this initiative that we started in the 2000 beginning, in these years, in the 2020, it took 20 years to got the best prizes in the world, and that's because we work together. But that are the keys of these results. We need to start that our Peruvian cuisine is a mixture of it's like a melting pot in which we got different cultures that join to have these recipes. The African people that came to our country in the times of the colony, also in the First World War and also the Second World War. We got migration from China and also from Japan, and also these recipes, these ingredients that they have, joined to our food, and we got also dishes that has something of Nikkei style to got it, and also finally the Spain, the Spain with the colony came to our region. Also, their ingredients, their ideas came to our recipes, and we can, if you are interested in that, you can read of one of these books, because we have a lot of story about our cuisine. But it's important to mention that the Peruvian cuisine, it's a mixture of different food. Also, the key points to have these results are are to take in consideration the ecosystem of this initiative. For example, the chefs that we have that join together, they don't work one against other. They work together to have these prizes because they work as ambassadors in different countries. They travel a lot to make recognize our food. The government, as I mentioned, started to work with a brand. The private companies, because we need to invest in the restaurants. We need to invest in the production of our ingredients to make them notice. Also, the producers and the small businesses. They were so necessary to consider the supply chain with the producers and also small businesses to which distribute them. because we have, as you know, maybe we have more than 1,000 of types of potatoes. That's amazing because we have different potatoes. We have many vegetables, also meat that we use for these dishes that we have. Also, that I mentioned before, the academia was so important because they trained the next generations of chefs. Where Gil Martinez started as a student of Persona Curio, and then he won this prize as the principal chef, and also was recognized the best chef of the world. Also, Pia Leon, that is a Peruvian chef that we have also here. The citizens, also because the society, it was very, very important to make recognize our food. The Peruvian people recognize our food as part of us. We are very proud of that. When we travel to different countries, when we talk with other people, we mention the Peruvian food is the best of the world. And that's so important because that's not only in this initiative make the Peruvian cuisine was part of us, and we are so happy to have it. Also, I have to mention, I don't know if you know this Spanish streamer that is called Ibai Llanos, that make a competition of breakfast. And as you don't know, here in Peru, we move a lot this tournament in in the news, in the newspapers, in the in the streets. We make a lot of campaign to make recognize our breakfast that was the pork with bread that to won this prize, and we also move a lot with that. We vote in the different social media that has this streamer on. We make a lot, and also that day many people went out to the streets to celebrate this recognition. This was so important for us because, as I mentioned before, the Peruvian feel as part of them, and that's the way in which this initiative, it's important this work with the stakeholders ecosystem that we have, the private companies, academia, the government, and also part of different societies. Also, we were so compromised with the project because when they started to work together with different chefs with that, and they were so compromised with this initiative. Also, accept the change because when we started this initiative, we know that we are going to change some activities. These producers, these private companies, uh, understand that we need to change, to work together to get these goals, and that's so important for that. And finally, understand the context. Understand the context of our Peruvian cuisine was so important because it's important to identify where we belong. As I mentioned, we belong to different cultures that are working together to get this recognition. And also, I have to mention that to make a social project, it's necessary to understand the context, design the project considering all the ecosystem, and also accept the change and a lot of compromise with the project success. That's so important to make these kind of changes. Let me look because I believe it's something. No, okay. I had an issue. Excuse me. Can you hear me well? No? 'Cause- okay. 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 Thank you. Thank you. I did. Sorry to didn't only saw that because I was watching my presentation. As I mentioned, to make this kind of social project, it's necessary to understand the context. Design this project considering all the ecosystem that we have, accept the change, and a lot of compromise with the project success because it's important to have this compromise with the project success that we have. And in our current world, we have many issues to solve. As you know, the different floods, overpopulation in some cities, the fire forests that we have in some cities, migration, as you know, in Venezuela, in Ukraine, we have a lot of migration. Sorry, let's, uh, okay, I got it a note. Okay, also the different earthquakes, the different environmental situations, the environmental disasters, the crime that we have, because for example in Latin America we have many crime organizations that are working in different countries, the pollution that we have in some cities, the corruption, and finally also the necessity of water that we have also. Important to understand some data about that. In biodiversity in Latin America, we have a lot of megadiversity. Brazil is one of also as the biggest of the region, has a lot of biodiversity index that we have from the National Geographic. The poverty index that we have in Latin America, we have countries with a lot of poverty, as Guatemala. Haiti has a lot of difficulties at this moment because he has also issues with the government because in the last year they have a, a crime with the president, and for that reason they don't have like a formal government in this moment. For this one, they have a lot of those situations. Honduras, Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, Bolivia, Ecuador, we have a lot of poverty here in our region that we need to have to consider. The educational level, well, in Latin America, also we have, as I don't know if you heard about the PISA study that we have to identify what are the level of education that we have in the primary and also elementary school. But in Latin America, all the there we have in this PISA index three levels: the A, B, and C. All our schools in Latin America are in the B or C level. The majority of them are in that level because we have some difficulties in that, and we need to solve it also. The corruption index, as I mentioned, when we have in our region, has a lot of situations of corruption, and that our society perceive that so difficult, and we need also to solve it. The Venezuelan migration, as I mentioned, you know that Venezuela is having some troubles with the current government, and a lot of people from Venezuela migrate to different countries. And the first to receive all the migration of the immigrants are Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador. And we're receiving all the people that are suffering these situations with the government. And also, I have to mention that technological inclusion is so important to consider because when we don't have uh, technology, internet, and also some gadgets, we will have some troubles to have our to solve to get a better work, to get a better education. the technology is so important to left to have more privileges in the society. And for that reason, we need to understand also how the different cities are connected. If they have internet, if they have connections, if they have computers, it's important to to make this technology and also the internet access to the different cities. And for this technological inclusion, it's a social issue that we need to solve. And in this new context, what is the new role of project manager? The project manager now has to have a systems thinking, see the total impact, not just the deliverable. When we are making a project, we don't have to consider only that we need to solve the issue of the organization in which we are working. We have to consider also the total impact that we can make to the all the ecosystem, to the, all the society, not only thing in in the institution. Also, we are talking about that in this new way that has the PMI to see the projects that is called more. More is the it's like an acronym from different uh, of different ideas that we need to consider in when we are managing a project. That is manage perceptions on project success, reinforce resist to project parameters, and finally expand perspectives. When we are working with that way, with more, we can consider all the ecosystem, and the project can be felt as more successful when not only the institution that is making the project perceive the success, also all the society, all the stakeholders perceive the success of that. The project can be more successful, and that is something that we I can mention. For example, the initiative with the Peruvian cuisine that I mentioned before, they didn't use the more strategy, but if we make a relationship of these ideas of more, we can say this project is successful because they not only consider the chefs that we have, not only the private companies, they consider all the society, all the ecosystem that we have. And that's for that reason that the new project manager has to consider these systems thinking for that. The stakeholder empathy, understand the expectations beyond the customer. It's important to understand what they need all the stakeholders. As I mentioned before, in this case of the Peruvian cuisine, they understand the needs of the private companies, the government, the society, the academia. They understand what they need to grow in this way. Build resources that you want to add. It's important to build all our ideas. I believe it's incomplete that the idea is build the project context that we have. Build the way to get success with our projects. The value-based decision making is important to we have to prioritize the future over quick fixes, because we need to consider what can what our actions, what our deliverables that we have in the project can make more value for all the stakeholders that we have, for all the project team, and also the ecosystem that we have. Finally, the influence and advocacy. Promote responsible practice for any role. It's important to have this influence with the different stakeholders, know how we can make the communication with them, and also start these ideas. Also, for that reason, the GPM is promoting this new way to solve the projects We started in the beginning with this triangle of cost, scope, and time. But now the green project management initiative that we have in the PMI is working with another way, the value creation of not only consider the scope, the cost, and time. We need to consider the P5 standard. We have to consider the people that are working in our projects. We need to consider the planet that we have, the prosperity for all the companies and also institutions that are working in these projects. Also, the product that we are working in to to have it, and also that they have to consider all the prosperity, the planet, and the people for that. And finally, the process in which we are working with these projects. And for that reason, the P5 standard that we have in the GPM is so important to consider. We have the lenses of the product perspective and also the process perspective. How we can consider in the product the lifespan that has our product, and how we can make that this product affect in a good way to our society and also on our ecosystem. The servicing, how we can make the service to maintain this product. The process perspective to understand the effectiveness of the of this process, to use the less resources that we have to consider for this product. The efficiency to get the best results in a good way. And finally, the fairness, the fairness to work with all the stakeholders in these products that we have in the project. And for this, we need to consider the people impacts, the planet impacts, and the prosperity impacts. Why is so important? This I consider these prosperity impacts is so valuable because Michael Porter mentioned a concept called the shared value. The shared value mentioned that when we are working an initiative in a company or organization, we need not only consider that the key results of the company works for the company. They have to work also for the society, but not only consider that the institutions have to work only for the society. We need to consider the principal needs that the company, because if we are working only with the social impact, we're working with charity, and the charity is not working well. It doesn't have um, a way in which the charity works all the time in a good way. When we consider that this charity way in the in the in the main process of the company, we need to consider in part of the principal main process, we are working for the company and also we're working for society, and they working together. For example, in the pandemia, some of the companies left to make charity because they don't have enough resources to make that. For that reason, the charity is only when we have a remaining of earns. We need a remaining of value that we can give to the society. But if we consider these charity activities as part of the value chain that we have in the company, they will work together and they won't stop. For that reason, it's important to work in this way, considering this people impact, the planet impact, and the prosperity impact. To finish my presentation, I'm gonna talk about the key takeaways. At first, the role of brand manager has evolved. The project success is not longer defined only by time, cost, and scope. Today, the project managers must lead with purpose, anticipate impacts, and also make decisions that create long-term value for people, planet, and also the organization. Conclusion number two: the sustainability requires methodology, not just gut intentions. And that is the way that's the reason that I like it. This new way of the PMI with the green project management. that provides a practical and measurable framework to embed sustainability throughout the project lifecycle. And the P5 standard is an structured management of social, environmental, and economic impacts. And finally, every project is an opportunity to leave a positive legacy. By adopting a sustainability approach, we build projects that go beyond and generate lasting benefits for communities, businesses, and ecosystems. The project managers now change agents capable of shaping a more responsible and resilient future. With that, I finish my presentation with this phrase of Simon Sinek that mentioned, "A culture is strong when people work with each other for each other. A culture is weak when people work against each other for themselves." I like this phrase because we need to work together to change our world, to change our society, to change our institutions. That is the good way in that we can make a change of our cultures. Thank you. Thank you so much to pay attention to my presentation. And if you have any doubt, you can write me. You can reach me, search to me in the LinkedIn with my name, Aurio de la Cruz Salazar. And I'm so glad to participate in this event. Thank you. Thank you so much.